Okay, I'm back again, and I've done it a couple more times so you can see that the opening is now smaller. Now I'm going to take this tool. I don't know where I got this. I might have bought it in the Czech Republic, maybe. I don't honestly remember. But I'm running it inside, and this is actually thinning the walls at the bottom. And I wanted to do it at this point because I can still get this in the hole. You know, if you don't have this particular tool, and because it has to be a rather large ball stylus, that's a big ball. So you're not going to use a very tiny ball or anything that's small that might actually rip the clay. Okay, so that feels good. So I'm just rotating and stroking the inside, and that's kind of stretching the clay a bit. Okay, now at this point, of course, I can't get my hands inside the way I was, so I will compress from the outside like so, like this. All right, and at some point it gets to be so small you can't even get your fingers in from the outside. So what do you do then? Well, it's simple. You put it down and you close the opening by taking your fingers and pushing them together like this. I'll show you, see? And I'm gonna make it smaller and smaller and smaller just by pushing from the outside. Now, an artist by the name of Pierre Volkas made these absolutely beautiful sort of balloon, translucent balloon shapes. And she used to take, she actually took a straw. Let me see if I have something that will work in any fashion that I can blow through. I don't even know if I can get this in there now because here's a smaller one. Okay, but what she did was she would take a straw, put it inside, and then blow on it. And I am getting air inside, and it became a bit rounder. But once again, my clay, this is still Kato poly clay, right? And it is a lot softer. But if you were to do this technique with a clay like Cernit or Primo, they're much, much softer, much softer. And while you could blow in them and expand, you also have much greater chance of actually blowing a hole through the clay. So that's the danger. There's the advantage and there's the hazard. Okay. And I will write Pierre's name in the comments section, just in case you haven't, you're not familiar with her work. When I first started in polymer clay, Pierre was pretty much what we all aspired to. Her cane work was amazing, but she was so innovative, and she is actually the person who pioneered the whole family of mica shift techniques. So she is someone, if you're not aware of, then you should be aware of her because she's really amazing. She left us to go back to dancing. And she's a dancer, so now she tangos. All right, so now I have this balloon, and it has a little tail on it. But what I'm going to show you now is just some quick shaping, because the air inside will enable us to do some shaping, to reshape the balloon. And as long as it's airtight, you can do this. So let's draw a little point out of the bottom. And when I say you can do it, I mean you can do it without fear of the whole piece collapsing. The walls won't collapse because of the air inside. So let me draw out a point on the bottom. And let's alter the shape a little bit just by pushing and pulling out the bottom. So having this air captured inside the clay is really quite wonderful. It opens up possibilities that you don't really have if you don't have this completely enclosed cavity. All right, so I'm not going to do any more than that. This particular one, like this, and it's still wet. You know, I just took a tool like this and I just repeatedly went over and over and over like that. And I didn't push terribly hard. I just wanted to make, you know, these just lightly indicate these sections. This one also started out like this, but I drew the point out more, and then I took a tool like this and I rolled and pushed it in on both sides. And you have to do it repeatedly because the air is going to push back on you. I'm going to leave this one just like this though, nice and round. So it looks like some kind of fruit or vegetable. Okay, now this is ready to be cured, but the one thing I have left to do is take a needle and poke a small hole someplace where I think it will not be as visible. And by poking that very tiny hole, when it cures, well, you know, heat expands. So the air will expand inside as it's curing. And as it's cooling, the air contracts. And sometimes it's really weird, but it over-contracts. So when it over-contracts, it does things like pull the walls of something in. It would just actually suck the air, the walls together, and it would alter the shape. So by putting that little tiny hole there, I'm creating a vent so that when the air expands, it will escape through the vent. And when the air cools and contracts, that hole will allow air to go back into the cavity. All right, so let's cure this and I'll be back.